values turns out to be not changing the sign. So in that case, I can equivalently say that this objective function is trying to maximize the product of the resultant rate lambda i's, right? Now, given that, but there is a motivation of writing it in this log form, which I'll explain as we go further. So now um, we have this new optimization problem where the change or the difference from the sum rate maximization is the objective function has been changed to proportional fairness, right? The other constraints remain the same because physically it is the same problem. The way we compute resultant rate remains the same because we are still allocating time fractions, so the rate has to be equal to lambda is equal to L phi Ri. All time fractions have to be non-negative, so L phi has to be greater than equal to 0 for every I, and summation over all I of alpha I has to be less than equal to 1. Now, how to solve for this particular optimization problem? Same way like we have done for the previous one. We can actually do it in 2 steps. Let's first solve it for 2 users, and then we try to generalize this for m users, right? So how to solve for 2 users? To solve for 2 users, we'll do the same thing like we did in the previous slide. Alpha 1 plus alpha 2 is equal to 1. So alpha 1, so you can substitute alpha 2 is equal to 1 minus alpha 1, right? Substituting that here, we actually have log of alpha 1 r1 plus log of alpha 2 r2. We can split this into 4 terms. Instead of 2 terms, log of alpha 1 r1 plus log of alpha 2 r2, I can write it as log of alpha 1 plus log of r2 r1 plus log of alpha 2 plus log of r2, right? Now log of r1 is not a function of alpha 1, so we can remove it out of the equation, just like we removed last time r2. Similarly, log of r2 is also not a function of alpha i's, so we can remove that. So instead of maximizing log of alpha 1 r1 plus log of alpha 2 r2, I can equivalently maximize log of alpha 1 plus log of alpha 2, right? Now when I'm maximizing log of alpha 1 plus log of alpha 2, it is equivalent to maximizing log of alpha 1 into alpha 2. And from, as in the previous case, we alpha 1 into 1 is alpha 1 when we are maximizing, because alpha 1 belongs 0 to 1, we can actually differentiate it. It is nothing but it's a concave function, right? So, and it'll have a peak at alpha 1 is equal to half, right? So you can actually solve for this as a quadratic also. Alpha 1 into 1 minus alpha 1 f of x is equal to this, and then try to find the optimum value. The optimum value will turn out to be at alpha 1 is equal to half. So the solution turns out to be equal resource allocation for proportional fairness TDMA based scheduler. We end up giving equal resource. Alpha 1 is equal to half, alpha 2 is equal to half to either of the users. Now we can actually generalize this to capital M users again using induction. You can prove this. That solution turns out to be alpha 1 is equal to alpha 2 is equal to alpha M, which is all equal to 1 by capital M. So each user gets equal time fraction 1 by the number of users in the system. So it is equal resource allocation, but not equal rate. The rates are different. The rates turn out to be lambda is equal to Ri by M. So M is same, but Ri's are varying between each user I, right? So that's the solution for this proportional fairness based TDMA scheduler. And now this is one possible objective function where the resultant solution turns out to be equal resource allocation. But we can again change the objective function to something of this sort. Instead of saying we'll try to be proportionally fair between users, maybe there's an operator which wants to ensure that each user gets the best possible service, right? So we try to maximize the worst user performance, right? We can do max min kind of a scheduler where max min is essentially implies that we are trying to maximize the minimum possible lambda I in the system. So the minimization is with respect to I. We take the set of resultant user rate lambda i's, we minimize that, find the minimum possible lambda I, and we try to maximize it. Allocate alpha I such that we end up maximizing the minimum possible lambda I, right? So here again we can try to derive the solution where we have lambda I is equal to alpha I Ri, summation of alpha I less than equal to 1, alpha I greater than equal to 0, and this solution in this case will turn out to be nothing but equal rate allocation, right? I can directly give you in interest of time outline or a motivation for the proof that if there are capital M users and all of them don't have equal rates, let's say one of them has slightly smaller rate, then this max min scheduler will eventually end up giving that one which has slightly smaller rate slightly more resource until they all have same rates. Because if any user has slightly less, it should get slightly more resource, and this should continue until all of them have exactly the same rate, which is why the solution here turns out to be equal rate allocation. So lambda i's will be nothing but equal rates, and the rates will be nothing but the harmonic mean. You take the harmonic mean of ri's or rj's, you can say here. Just to differentiate between I and j. So the harmonic mean rate is nothing but 1 upon the harmonic mean is equal to summation of 1 upon rj's, right, overall j. So this essentially means that each user end up getting the harmonic mean rate. And to achieve this, the time fraction has to be equal to 1 upon ri times summation of 1 upon rj over j. When I multiply this alpha I with this ri cancels out, and I'm left with the harmonic mean rate, right? You can also view these three as maximizing, the arithmetic mean, maximizing the geometric mean in some sense, and maximizing that results in harmonic mean, allocation. So AM, GM, and HM kind of allocation, right? Now, going further, we can further generalize this formulation, where instead of having any particular of these three, we can have a more generic objective function, where the objective function is the alpha fairness based objective function. So here we take summation over I, lambda I to the power 1 minus alpha upon 1 minus alpha. This alpha is the alpha fairness parameter. When I substitute alpha is equal to 0, this is nothing but the maximum sum rate. When I substitute alpha is equal to 1, when I apply limits, it tends to summation of log of lambda I, which is essentially proportional fairness. I can also substitute alpha tending to infinity, and it will tend to maximum, scheduling, right? Again, we can derive the solution for this also in terms the alpha I in terms of ri's. They can be derived closed form. We can do something similar for CDMA, but in interest of time, let us directly go towards OFDMA. Now in OFDMA, we are essentially using the concepts of OFDM, but there is a key differentiating factor between the two. Please note, OFDM is essentially orthogonal frequency division, multiplexing. It is not a multiple access scheme. So I need to use OFDM with another multiplexing scheme, with another multiple access scheme, right? That multiple access scheme can be TDMA, right? Or can be, in OFDMA case, it is like a multiple access in both time as well as frequency domain, right? So, but OFDM itself has a lot of advantages. So one possible advantage I'd like to highlight is that in presence of any sort of delay spread, because of this channel, it introduces some sort of delay spread, which essentially means the symbols are spread over time. There is a time shift in the symbols, right? Now this time spread, delay spread, let's say, is 1 microsecond. And if I have a data rate of 400 kilosymbol per second for a single carrier system, then the symbol duration turns out to be 2.5 microsecond, essentially 1 upon 400 kilosymbols per second, right? That will give us 2.5 microsecond. Now in this case, the symbol overlap turns out to be 40%, because if delay spread is 1 microsecond and have a symbol of 2.5 microsecond, that 2.5 is overlapping 1 microsecond either side with the other symbols. So the overall symbol overlap is 40%. Now 40% is a huge symbol overlap. It can result in significant degradation in receiver performance. So how to reduce this? One possible way is in OFDM, instead of having one single carrier, we have multiple subcarriers. So let's say I have 10 subcarriers. Each subcarrier is transmitting at 40 kilosymbol per second. But because I'm using 10 of them, the total data rate will still be 400. So I'm not compromising on the data rate. But now, because I'm using 10 slower subcarriers in terms of data rates, each one with 40 kilosymbol per second, the symbol duration turns out to be 25 microsecond, 1 upon 40 kilosymbol per second. Now 25 microseconds when compared to the delay spread. Now delay spread is constant, that is coming because of the channel, right? The channel is not changing. So then when for the same channel with a delay spread of 1 microsecond, the symbol overlap will now be reduced from 40% to 4%, which is significantly small, will not introduce significant error in my receiver performance. So that's one of the many advantages of OFDM. But from a multiple access perspective, OFDM can be used, for example, with TDMA. So I can have a OFDM plus TDMA system as compared to a OFDMA system. Now in OFDMA system, I still have multiple subcarriers, but I need not allocate all the subcarriers to one user. I can actually in OFDMA allocate any subcarrier in any time slot. So let's say rows here represent subcarriers, columns here represent time slots. For simplicity, it's a 2x2 system, just to illustrate the example. In practice, it is much more. Right? In practice, you can have in practice, you can have up to, let's say, 100 subcarriers and 7 time slots, right, in a resource block. But here, just for illustration, let's say it's 2x2 system. I have two subcarriers and I have two time slots. And read these HIs represent the channel metrics of user I. So H1 is the channel metrics of user 1, H2 is the channel metrics of user 2. Now, given these channel metrics H1 and H2, we are trying to compute what will be the performance of OFDM TDMA system vis-a-vis OFDMA system. Now, in OFDM TDMA system, the multiple access is happening in time domain. So I can give any time slot to any user. I can give time slot 1 to user 1, 2 to user 2, or time slot 2 to user 1 and 1 to user 2. Now, by design, I have taken here symmetric metrics so that which time slot is allocated, it shouldn't have an impact on the performance of the OFDM TDMA system. So if I give the first time slot to user 1, its rate will be nothing but log of 1 plus p plus log of 1 plus 9p, this channel, right? So p times the channel. This is how we are computing the rate on a subcarrier. Outside, there is a scaling factor of 0.5 because we are not giving the same subcarrier for all amount of time. We are only giving it for one time slot out of two time slots. So the rate becomes half. Similarly, for user 2, irrespective of the time slot, the rate turns out to be log of 1 plus p plus log of 1 plus 4p, right? So now, for this system, we essentially have the rate for the two users, which is a OFDM TDMA system. I can also have a OFDMA system where instead of giving both the subcarriers in the same time slot, I actually give in the first time slot the second subcarrier to user 1, in the second time slot the first subcarrier to user 1. Similarly, first time slot first subcarrier, second time slot second subcarrier to user 2. So the number of resources given to each user is still the same, but the rates are significantly different because now the rate of user 1 is log of 1 plus 9p plus log of 1 plus 9p. Similarly, rate of user 2 is log of 1 plus 4p and plus log of 1 plus 4p, right? So here, as you can see, the rate for both the users are increasing in OFDMA compared to OFDM TDMA system. This is happening because my channel matrix is frequency and time selective, right? If the channel matrix is frequency flat and not time selective, in that case, both will turn out to have same performance, right? So the improvement of OFDMA system is coming in scenarios which are slightly more complicated for traditional communication systems, because frequency selectivity and then time selectivity, right? It is typically or it was earlier considered as a issue or a deterrent, but now here we are utilizing that to our own advantage and doing better resource allocation with OFDMA as compared to OFDM TDMA, right? So this is again the same thing illustrated for our time slot. In our time slot, I can have the guard band just like we have in OFDM. We know OFDMA also we'll have pilot subcarriers, and then user 1's data in some subcarriers and user 2's data in some subcarriers. So this is a more practical way of representation because we don't have typically these only two, right? We need to have for a full-fledged communication system something of this sort, right? So now we can again apply this OFDMA resource allocation concept with the objective function of an alpha fairness. So I can again have the link rates to the power 1 minus alpha upon 1 minus alpha maximize over xij in a time slot for a user I. This is for each time slot if we start doing this. And then we try to compute for a subcarrier j, what is the rate of this user I on subcarrier j. If it is to be allocated to this user I, xij should be equal to 1, otherwise xij should be equal to 0. So we have a binary optimization variable. Now summation of xij has to be equal to 1 because this is the same resource. It is a resource block. So this resource block in this time slot can be given to only one user. It cannot be given to more than one user. So this summation of xij over all i's, the number of users, should be equal to 1. So this is the optimization problem, which is we have taken the TDMA problem and slightly generalized it to for a time slot, how to allocate for a OFDMA system. Now let us generalize it even further. Let us do it for multiple time slots and multiple subcarriers together. So now I have multiple time slots represented by T and multiple subcarriers represented by C, and each user represented by N. So XNTC is again a binary optimization variable where XNTC represents if this resource block in time T on subcarrier C is allocated to user N, then the value should be equal to 1. If it is not allocated, the value should be equal to 0, right? Similarly, we can allocate power PNTC. This is for the downlink. So this is the downlink power from the base station to user N on in time slot T subcarrier C. Now within a time slot, the total power of a base station is constant. So if I add PNTC over all number of users over all subcarrier C, this summation of PNTC is upper bounded by PBS by 3, where PBS is the base station transit power This additional factor of 1 by 3 is coming because we assumed here directional sectors. So if you have 3 sectors in a base station, then we are equally dividing the power between the 3 sectors. So there is a PBS by 3, right? And then I can have XNTC, summation of XNTC over all users in a time slot T